Okay, so that does answer the question because what in the blog post from last week, or yesterday it was in the blog post from yesterday that I wrote, I kind of said, on the surface, if you look at it, because Microsoft is curating the store, there's no plugins. There is this desktop mode, but it's not really desktop mode, so we can sort of discount that it exists. It looked like that the Windows on ARM tablet is essentially no different than an iPad. It's just Microsoft's version of the iPad, and yeah, because they're going with different OEM, different manufacturers. So sure, there'll be different size ones and keyboards and that kind of stuff. But it's basically just an iPad since it can have no plugins and all the apps are curated. So my sort of question was how, if users have to rewrite all their own, or if companies have to rewrite all their own apps anyway for this thing, and the iPad's going to have an install base of 150 million by the time this thing comes out, then what chance does it have? And that's where I left that's how I left that conversation. So the one point we can get is that maybe one of the angles is that the developers really are used to doing things the way that they have been doing them, so they will be more interested in writing for a Windows platform. My question, though, about that is, in order for that to work, obviously the end users themselves have to use these Windows on ARM tablets, or Windows. It could be x86 tablets too, but the users have to use them too. So who wins this conversation? And this is, I'm asking to everyone, do we think that companies are going to say, I rewrote this application and now we're going to buy you all? Because no user's buying a Windows tablet on their own, except for the 15 people who are listening to Microsoft's podcast or whatever. But I mean, so this means that if organizations want to have these things, they have to buy these tablets for all these users. Are they going to do that? Or are they going to say, oh, wow, 95% of the people who I need to buy tablets for already have iPads. So why not just write my app for iOS and then, off we go?
Well, again, I think the enterprises are going to buy them for as desktop replacements too. I think that's a viable option as the applications, if the applications appear in Metro, or if they can develop them in an appropriate way for the devices. I think that they can be desktop replacements too. So I'm not, again, I don't want to get cornered on tablets because I think that there's other use cases. But from tablet standpoint, yeah, you're right, man. There's no way. Not with so many people already having Android and iOS tablets. If organizations buy tablets for the people, I mean, they'll use them for work and then throw them off to the side, maybe, or they'll just continue doing whatever they used to do, work related on their tablets, and go to work and use their PCs like normal.
Well, I think there's that danger, right? But the other danger is, and I think the Zen Desktop people will agree with me here. The real danger is business as usual. I saw, these are the numbers we're going with, that half the people are still on Windows XP. Maybe 35% have migrated to Windows 7. Wow. It's going to be difficult to get the 7s to go to 8. The XPs, there may be a reason they haven't gone to 7. What you need, is that reason because their app won't port or what have you?
I read an article about people that were waiting for Windows 7 since Windows 8 was so close. They were waiting to go to 8. So still on XP, skip Vista, skip 7, waiting for 8.
Well, as they say, if you're going to rough the kicker.
Man.
You got till 2014, right? So what the hell?
Yeah, but I wrote an article about it. I think it's probably, if you're just doing it just to do it, that's probably the wrong reason. But because there's so much stuff, now you not only do you have to worry about all the stuff that came out in Vista and then all the stuff that came out in Windows 7, like the profiles and things like that. Now you have to worry about all of the changes that are going to be in Windows 8 too. And so, I mean, the amount of problems or issues that you're going to have to deal with are snowballing. But yeah, you're right, Kevin. Those are I can't imagine people waiting. Now, and so business as usual wins out in just about every one of those situations, because they're like, hey, look, we know how to do this already, so why the hell are we going to change it?
So another sort of thing to add into this consideration is probably, I know you guys on the phone, most of you listening maybe know Denis Gundarav. And Denis is a Citrix CTP originally from Russia, and he actually hosted. It was me and Rick Dellinger and Harry Labana and Robert Morris. He hosted us in Russia. I don't know, a couple years ago. We did a bunch of events out there. Denis has actually since moved here to the Bay Area, but he's still a Citrix CTP, spoken at Bri Forum and stuff. So he sends me a note on Twitter yesterday, which is saying something like, "I don't agree with your article. I wrote my response, but it's 2,000 words." So can I post that response? Will it fit in the comments? And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this is an article by itself. So his article will be tomorrow's main post for brianmadden.com. And he's arguing, because my whole thing is I'm saying, so these tablets, because my view is that since the Windows on ARM tablets, since there's no backward compatibility story, like with desktop apps or desktop mode or porting or virtualization, or maybe I'm not using those words probably, but you're not going to buy these tablets because they're compatible with everything else you have. And if you have to rewrite all your applications anyway, then why don't you just go with the iPad versus this Windows tablet, especially if it can't have plugins and that kind of stuff. So it's not like you can use it with older versions of IE and browse them and all that sort of thing. So I kind of said if this is the case, then these tablets are for consumers, right? Because why would an enterprise buy this thing? Because if an enterprise needs a tablet, aren't they going to buy a Windows? Aren't they going to buy an x86 or x64 tablet? And then that way they can run truly all their old applications. They can run desktop mode. They can install whatever they want. So that to me was like my view of the enterprise tablet. It's going to be x86 tablet. My view of the enterprise Windows tablet. It's going to be an x86 tablet. So Denis, in his what will become blog post tomorrow, he says that we're underestimating the other advantages of the Windows platform that corporations have. And Gabe, I don't know if you have that post up in front of you right now, but he's talking about,
I just got it.
In terms of security, because it's still, Android security and iOS security is, like Apple controls everything, or it's Android that people are afraid of it being free and open. And so with Windows, it can be your existing mechanisms. It's in the domain. It's the existing way of doing things. There's a registry, all that kind of stuff. So when corporations want to deploy tablets to users, they may want the characteristics of an ARM tablet, like the good battery life and the low power consumption and the smallness of it and everything. But then they can get all their Windows stuff by having an ARM tablet. So Denis believes that's the reason why corporations are going to choose Windows on ARM tablets.
It makes sense. Well, I haven't read the article yet. That process is editing it and getting it posted. So I'll do that later, and we can check it out and comment on it tomorrow.
Someone
when it goes up.
There's a comment in the on the internet here about how about notebooks with dual chips, both Intel and ARM that can run both of them.
That's Chaz.
Oh yeah. Oh hey. Low power when you need it, more power when you need it.
Yeah, Chaz also said, he just reminded us all in the chat window that Microsoft has been known to change their policies. This could be their policy to start, and if they see it doesn't work, or they effectively lock out, or get their toe in the door, get their foot in the door, then they might change it.
Isn't there there's a lot of risk here for so there's a lot of risk here, I think, with regards to the developer world. Because if the developers get pissed and migrate away from Windows, is Windows done? Is this I wrote that I feel like Microsoft really needs to knock it out of the park with Windows 8. But man, I just can't imagine if they alienate the developers, or if the developers are like, yeah, screw that, I'm going to go develop over here. Or if the organizations are like, yeah, screw that, I need an app developed for iOS or Android. I just feel like that could be the end of Windows, because then then that causes the mass migration of applications to other platforms or into the cloud.
Well, and as we discussed, there's always going to be need for Windows apps at some level, just from a pure legacy standpoint. And I'm not even necessarily talking about apps that are even updated anymore, but it seems like just like there's still mainframe apps. Although I saw the other day that NASA finally turned off their last mainframe just this weekend. But there are still mainframes being used, and Windows apps I'm sure will be used for another 20 years. But
I don't mean that it's going to go away instantly, but I mean like it's gonna right now the consensus is that that Windows is dying a slow death, and I feel like the pace of that death is going to pick up rather quickly if Windows 8 fails.
So it started the death by 1,000 cuts, and then Windows 8 is the guillotine.
One big goddamn cut. Yeah.